To make a pot of tea, I have to take the tin out of the cupboard, open the drawer to get a teaspoon and open the tin, and then use that spoon to get tea out of the tin, put it in the teapot, then put the lid back on the tin and put it back into the cupboard, and then put the spoon back into the drawer. And I'm hoping to cut that all down to a single step because I'm hopelessly addicted to tea and I can't tell you how much tea I actually drink. Well, I could tell you, but it's embarrassing, so I'm not going to. Instead of tackling this crippling vice, I'm going to build a contraption that will make it even easier for me to brew the perfect cup of tea. The plan's going to be quite simple. There's going to be a hopper up the top that holds the tea, and that'll be connected to a dispensing mechanism, which will have a little slide in it that as you pull it in and out, it'll take the tea out of the hopper and deposit it into your teapot. The dispensing mechanism is going to be made out of a sandwich of 3 bits of wood. So one that holds the hopper, and then the middle bit will have a hole in it, and that's the bit that'll slide. So the hole will line up with the hopper and fill up, and then as you pull the slide forward, it'll deposit the tea out the front, while the back of the slide blocks the hopper from any more tea coming down. With my tea poured, I can get on to building, and I'm going to make this out of scrap materials. I've got a leftover bit of wood and an old pasta sauce jar. Now, very importantly, this wood is not pallet wood. It has not been treated. It's just old and a bit dirty looking, but it's completely untreated wood, which is very important because this is going to be in contact with the tea. First thing to do is cut the scrap into the 3 bits that will make up the dispensing unit sandwich of wood, and that top piece needs to actually hold the glass jar, so we need to put a hole in the top. I don't have a Forstner bit, which would make this very easy, but I do have a bit of a plan. So first, just use a normal drill bit, drill a bit of a hole so that then I can get a step bit in there, which hopefully will open it up wide enough for me to jam my hacksaw blade in there. Oh yes, we're on. And try and cut out this circle. We'll see how it goes. It went all right. I forgot how foul that sound was. Drilling at the start was nice and easy, but the step bit was awful because the wood is so thick, but I got there. And then the hacksawing was also disgusting. Basically, I just worked my way around the circle, trying to take out little chunks of wood as I go. And you can see how many little chunks I had to end up sawing out, and I'm left with an absolutely disgusting looking... it's not even, I can't call it a circle, but I could then use the file to then smooth out that circle. Oh. After a lot of elbow grease and going back and forwards checking with the jar, I eventually got it to fit. It's by no means a perfect fit, but it is in there pretty securely, so we can move on to the next step. After a quick tea break, of course. So in the sandwich of the dispensing unit, that middle section needs to be held in on either sides, and I can actually, in the process of thinning down the middle bit to fit within the guides, I can also use the offcuts as the guides themselves, if that makes sense. Uh-oh. Need to get better at cutting straight lines. I managed to get it back on track, but I've sort of mangled the piece. It'll just take a bit of extra work, but I can do that. I left these bits on at the end so that there'll be a stop so you can pull this slide all the way through. And there'll be a hole here where there's already a hole. I'm going to make that obviously a bigger hole, and that'll be where the tea gets delivered from. So yeah, I'll need to cut these down to size so that they match these, and then these will all be screwed together into a little sandwich that this will then slide in and out of. But first, got to fix up that boo-boo. So I'll do that quickly, and then we can crack on with the actual cool stuff. When I say cool stuff, I'd clearly forgotten that the next step was to cut another big hole in the wood. I'd measured out this hole to be roughly a tablespoon, which is about how much tea I put into the pot each time. Obviously, you can make this hole whatever size you want to suit whatever you're putting in your hopper. But yeah, I'd clearly forgotten how much effort the first hole took to make, because this isn't very cool. Just hard work. Obviously, as I said, a Forstner bit would make this very easy, but I don't have a Forstner bit, and they're also kind of expensive. So using that step bit and the hacksaw was the way to go for me. And I think this is often the case when you don't have the perfect tool. You can usually get by with what you've got. You just sometimes need to put a bit more effort and creativity into it, but you can usually get there. Sadly, the next step after the hole was to sand everything down, which is also not very much fun because you do all the sanding and you get through all the bits and you think you're nearly done and then you realize, oh wait, I've got another grit to go to. So you change it out and you have to do it all over again. I was doing so much sanding that I was starting to think that the dents in my thumbs from pushing the bits were going to be permanent. In the end, we got through all the bits and all the grits and yeah. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone for watching, but especially to the members. Obviously, a lot of footage gets cut when I make these videos, but if you want to see the extended behind-the-scenes stuff, then consider becoming a member. There's a join button below where you can see what's on offer, so, you know, check it out if you want, and you can help support these videos. If not, that is no worries. Just watching these videos is already so much support, so thank you once again. With all the bits cut out and sanded to their final-ish dimension, I could figure out where they'd go to screw them together. And to do that, I just drilled and countersunk some holes for the screws. And clearly this is not a very pretty looking thing, but we can fix that with a bit more elbow grease. I was originally going to file it all down, but that was taking way too long, so I busted out the saw, and that was one of the few genius moves on this build. I could then sand down all those edges and get everything looking nice and crisp in its final form. Obviously, when you push this thing in, you can't pull it back out, so I'm going to use a little offcut of the lampshade rods to make a handle. It's going to be a very simple handle, just 2 bits of dowel sunk into the main piece and then another dowel across the front. So I could just mark out where I needed to drill some holes and then obviously drill them out, trying to be very precise and line it all up. And once they were good, I could drop the little bits of dowel into those holes and glue them in place. Whoa. Why is it? Oh my god. Well. Right. I wasn't expecting that. The other thing is I need to prevent the draw being pushed all the way back through again, so I have these little offcuts that I'm going to use to stop that. Fuck. Or at least that was my original plan. That didn't work, so I found another scrap of wood that actually happened to be the exact size of my little wood sandwich, and that was going to go across the whole face, so I needed to drill out some holes for the dowels. But the drill bit started wandering, and despite my funky drilling angle, I couldn't get it back on center, and so the hole didn't line up, and I didn't have enough left over to have a second shot. So I decided to just keep it nice and simple and just smack a block right in the middle. And I think there's a lesson in here somewhere of just keeping it simple. Oh shit. I mean, obviously I should be able to drill a hole in the spot where I want to drill a hole. That is a skill that I'll try and develop. But until then, I'm just going to keep it simple. To get the other dowel on the top of the handle, I needed to file some grooves into the other dowels so that it would sit in there nicely. And that ended up all good. You saw I just drilled some little holes in the handle. And unfortunately, my attempt at filming this was really bad, but that's for putting this little copper wire through as a nice little embellishing detail to the handle. I think it looks quite nice. It's a bit messy around the back, but if you just don't look around the back, then it's all good. I randomly found some rubber feet in my box of random offcuts, put them on the bottom, and there we go. We've got the final T-hopper system. And I'm not going to lie, I think this thing is looking pretty cool. I think it's probably one of the nicest things I've built on this channel, which isn't saying much, but I'm pretty proud of how it looks. With all that built, it's finally time to put this thing to the test. Oh dear. Once I eventually filled up the hopper, at least. Alright, let's see if it works. Kind of. I guess I got to tidy that up. I should have done it into the teapot. With that semi-successful test out the way, I put it into its final spot to try it for real. I think with a bit of oomph, we can get it to work. Oh shit. I think too much pressure from all the tea inside here is going down to the tea at the bottom and making it really hard to pull the drawer out. So I've gotten rid of most of it to see if that's actually the problem. I guess we'll find out. Oh, it feels really crunchy. I think the, oh yeah, listen to that. The real issue is probably the shape of the tea more than this thing. Like, I think this would work really well with coffee, actually. But that, I don't really drink much coffee. Let me try that. I was originally thinking coffee grounds, but I think coffee beans might work quite well. Oh, that works perfectly. Look at that. Why can't there be tea beans? So, I don't want to start drinking coffee. Oh, that's so much better. I think the tea leaves just get caught up in here, whereas I guess the beans can be pushed around a bit easier because they're bigger. Oh, that works so well. Oh, most of the time. But look at that. That's crazy. But I don't know. We've got a coffee grinder that's already got a. Because I don't drink coffee, but my girlfriend does, and so she's got this machine, and it's already got a hopper for the beans. So I don't know what we're gonna do with this thing, because the tea doesn't work, but coffee does. But I just want a cup of tea.